There are reports that Elon Musk's SpaceX will pursue an IPO in 2026, targeting a valuation of about $1.5 trillion. Let's talk about that and what it looks like with Jeff Park, CEO and Director of Stack Capital Group. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Jeff, your fund invests in SpaceX. Were there any rumors previous to the more recent ones that there could be a public offering?
We saw before back in 2020, 2022, they thought about going public back at that point in time when Tesla was public, but the volatility of Tesla, that kind of delayed their plans. But they've gotten to such a large, sizable base of users on the Starlink side that it's kind of about time for them to jump into the public markets.
Okay, what would be the benefit of them doing this?
I would say two things. One of the things that if you're a private company, you have more than 2,000 shareholders, you start having to increase the amount of reporting that you have to do. So at that point in time, it just makes more sense to be a public company. So they could be broaching up against that. But additionally, on top of that, being a public company, there's a lot of passive funds out there in the public markets that I can tell you that's sizable of a business. A lot of people are going to want that in their portfolio. So it gives additional individuals access. It gives those passive funds access. And a lot of those passive funds, they don't really think about valuation. So there's a lot of demand in terms of buying that company in the public markets.
Okay. What would happen or need to happen before an IPO to get the numbers to where they want to get them to?
I would say they're already there today. This business is one of the best growth businesses that we've seen, especially over my career. When you can have two monopolies in one business, from the Starship side and Falcon 9, in terms of that's the launch capabilities that they have, and then additionally on the Starlink side, they've almost hit north of 9 million subscribers on Starlink. So people who don't have, or people who have a cabin and they don't have access to internet, or it could be John Deere and they're trying to do precision agriculture in the middle of Brazil and doesn't have access. Those companies right there, so many of them are picking up Starlink and adding that to the underlying business, that it creates a stable revenue stream for the company to come out into the public markets. And that's the thing that they've really been waiting for.
Okay, so I think you just answered the question, but how much of the timing here has to do with the Starlink success?
I would say, once again, they're already there. 9 million subs just on the Starlink side of that business. Like you are a sizable business there alone. Like overall revenues, you're talking about north of 15 billion, and there's chatter next year around 25 billion plus in revenues. That's a big business to bring out into the public market.
What would this mean for Musk himself?
It would mean he's done a fantastic job at creating value, not only for himself, but value for individuals that work at SpaceX, businesses that participate in the SpaceX ecosystem. There's a lot of people who are going to create a lot of wealth, and from those individuals will then go out there in the world and probably create new businesses. So it's stunning and very impressive with what Musk has been able to build and what he's been able to do for the community of people out there.
There has been suggestion that perhaps they roll out Starlink as its own. What do you think of the idea of splitting it up?
There's been chatter before of like, okay, you carve the business into two components, right? You carve it into the launch capabilities and you carve it into the Starlink side. Starlink, it's just easily recognizable revenues that are consistent. On the Starship side, it's a little bit more lumpy, but still, like, do you need to take that out and just launch Starlink in terms of an IPO? I think it probably just goes out into one individual company, would be my bet. But there has been chatter about bringing two components out, one being Starlink and one being and leaving the Starship side private.
As an investor, is there a preference for you?
I'd prefer the entire thing to come out at one. I think it would be one of the biggest blockbuster IPOs to hit the market. You're talking about a business that chatter is for 2026, 1.5 trillion. The only other company that's come close to this, actually, it's come close to, is Saudi Aramco, $1.5 trillion IPO. So I would say I would like everything to come out in one. I think there's a lot of value for people. I think there's a lot of value creation that's going to happen in the public market from people being able to buy it. You also have to think additionally too, like they have a tight float. Elon owns a lot of the company. Google owns a portion of it. Fidelity owns a portion of it. So that tight float mixed with so much investor demand and people wanting to play that business, I think it'll be a blockbuster IPO that hits the U.S. exchange.
All right, Jeff Parks, got to leave it there, sir, but thank you for your time. Jeff, CEO, Director of Stack Capital Group.